All right, welcome to this episode of Mr. Brian's Amazing World. I have my assistant here today, and I'm going to show you all how to tap trees to make maple syrup. So the first thing we do is we start with some spackle buckets, or any other bucket that you can get your hands on, 5-gallon preferred because they fill up quick. You want to clean them out really well, and you're going to want a lid, and also you're going to need some taps, which are these fancy little guys here, and you can use some other variations of things. They used to use some tree branches that were hollowed out to put into the tree. So why don't you go ahead and drop the buckets for a minute, and if you want to grab the drill and go ahead and show them what we have to do here. Now what we want to do is pick a side of the tree that's kind of sunny, so it warms up against the sun and makes the sap flow up through the tree. Well, you can see here's an old hole here, and here's another old hole here. I'd say go right down in here. And you can see obviously they grow back over, it doesn't harm the tree at all, but let's pick a spot right here, go ahead and drill through there. I try to stay a little bit low and keep it on a little bit of an angle there. This way the sap will flow down through the drill bit at that angle as opposed to if it's flat. There you go, clean that out a little bit, try it again. And now these are set for a 1/2-inch drill bit. I usually use one that's a little bit smaller because it makes a little tighter of a grip. Help hold the tap into the tree. And the last thing you want to do is have overflowing buckets that are falling off your trees. All right, you can see that one's already going. Now you want to go in about 3 inches. You can see she's in about 2, so maybe go a little bit further in there. And you can see this tree is flowing pretty well. It's about 40 degrees out here right now. And ideally you want to have, that's probably perfect there, between temperatures just above freezing and then just below freezing at night. Clean that out. So here you go. If you want to, another thing we can do is take a screwdriver here and run the screwdriver through the tip of this and just bend it ever so slightly just to make it. Oh, the dog is in the chicken coop. Leave it to the dog to steal the show. Good job. Anyway, back to the show here. So that'll open this up a little bit and make it sit extra snug into the tree. So if you want to go ahead and tap that in there, hit on the top just a little bit. I would say go a little bit more. Now what we're looking for is this little space right here. We want to go in a little bit more than that, but enough that it holds the bucket on there. So go ahead and tap it in a little more. Perfect. Now you can see this tree is flowing. Now I took the buckets and I drill a hole in it about 1 inch in diameter, and I take a power planer to it and I nip the sides off the bucket. This way it fits tightly up against the tree. So now once you put the bucket on there, this little thing catches it and then it goes and it can drip. And oh God, in weather like this, it'll fill up in no time. Then all we do is we take the bucket, the lid, I find this fancy little spot here, put it against there, and go ahead and do that. Now why don't we take and do this next tree behind you here. See that one over there. Go ahead and drill it, I'll meet you over there. Let's see, we'll probably go right in here on this one. Let's catch some of the morning sun.
Right here?
Yeah, that's perfect. And probably in a spot like this so it's sticking out. If you hit this bark here, it pushes the bucket too much. Perfect, right there. All right. Well, it didn't take her long to get the hang of what we really have to do. She helped me out. She cleaned some buckets up and helped me get ready. And boy, these trees are very hard maple to drill through. And it doesn't harm the tree at all. As you can see, the previous holes, they grew right back around and no damage done. And they're ready to go every year. Try to get that little chunk that just went in there out of there. Perfect. All right, you want to grab another tap? Okay, now, let's see, go ahead, put that one in there. Nice and snug. Here's the hammer. Man, she got the hang of this. All right. Now, here, why don't you try setting the bucket this time? Look at that thing. That thing is dripping like crazy. Absolutely perfect weather right now. If you catch these first couple spring runs, all right, great. Now, if this bucket you can see has a little crack at the top of that, we're going to want to watch that, because if it gets heavy and full, it will tear through. And we could lose the bucket, but we'll use it for now, and if we have to trade it for a carry bucket, so be it. Go ahead, put the lid on. Oh man, show her once, she's got it. All right, well, let's take you over and we will show you now what we have with the boiler system and how we cook this. Basically, through the years, we've always used just a 55-gallon drum, and then we get a keg, and we cut the top of the keg apart and set that inside of it. And it works very well, and every year I keep saying, oh, I'm gonna make a better cooker, I'm gonna make a better cooker, and I never get to it. I guess I could say the same thing this year. However, so this is what we're looking at. This here is, like I said, a 55-gallon drum, and we cut it so that a keg will fit on top of it, and then we cut the top of the keg out as well. Now, you can see these spaces, no big deal. We'll stuff those full of insulation, it doesn't burn. The only thing about this is you can see the line about where it'll cook to. I want to make sure it drops down inside the 55-gallon drum as much as possible so it takes advantage of all the fire. You can see up in here, it does catch quite a bit of the bottom of the keg. The further down you get it, the better. Just want to make sure it won't be able to drop through when it's very full and hot. Kind of why I left this little lip. If you look at the notch, then it helps grab the edge of this. I did it on both sides so it grabs, and I can move it and pick it up easy. Sometimes you may want to put a little dip in here so you can pour this as it's when you're finishing up. It makes it easier. Obviously I just use regular door hinges, and through the years they were welded on and rusted off. There's my door. It'll get propped like that, and that will be good enough because it needs all the air that it can get to burn as hot as possible. Well, to a certain point. You don't want to overheat it. If you overheat it, you'll burn your syrup in there, and then you'll have a real bad taste in your syrup. But you do want it to cook quickly. You need to burn 50 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. So that is a whole lot of burning and a lot of wood that you're going to be going through. Chimney's just running up through here. This little flapper here, that's just to help keep anything from blowing back into the cooker. I mean, you'll get a little bit of trail spice here and there, but it's kind of extra flavoring, and you'll filter that out later. The other thing you want to be careful of is this will roll. Granted, the bottom of the cooker has kind of rotted away, so it doesn't roll as much. I used to have irons welded across the bottom, and I will put stuff across here, cinder blocks, just so that this doesn't roll over, because if you have 20 gallons of boiling hot sap and it rolls over, oh man, you don't want to be anywhere near that. Anyway, I put these pieces on here because this is my pre-cooker, or post-cooker even. When I first start up, I'll have a pot sitting up here and extra heat coming through here, and extra heat from here will warm up the sap. Then when I dump it into here, it doesn't drop the temperature so quickly. And same thing applies at the end. When I take out the final stuff, I put it here and it simmers off the final little bit. I will also use a propane cooker at the final bit just to, you know, get it just to the right point. However, when you use a system like this, you're cooking with wood, you get a whole lot of flavor, and it's kind of unique. It's your own special stuff depending on what you're burning as far as wood. But I think I've probably touched about just every subject with this. I know she learned quite a bit so far, and you know, she helped out, and we have a couple buckets. We're going to clean a whole bunch more. And again, you could use food grade buckets, would probably be better than what I'm using. However, I'm using such a volume. I mean, I need 50 gallons of sap, and the sap is only in that bucket for a couple hours before it gets in here and then cooked. So it's probably okay, and it's personal stuff. So, you know, if you're going to do it at any commercial level, you're going to have more tubing, and you're probably not going to be using buckets of any type. But these buckets are free, and the keg was $5 or $15 on a core charge, and the 55-gallon drum, probably picked that up for free somewhere along the line too. So overall, we're making maple syrup really cheap, utilizing our trees. Now, follow up on some other videos on Mr. Brian's Amazing World. We'll show you exactly how to finish this off. Like I said, the trees just started running today. It's a beautiful day, mid-February, probably the 21st, I believe. And it'll run for probably 2-3 weeks, and that'll be it. And we wanted to catch the first run, so it's nice and clear, good stuff. And we'll show you what it makes, and we'll show you how to make a couple other things besides just maple syrup. And check us out, like us, subscribe. Thanks a lot. Mr. Brian's Amazing World. Have a great day. Okay, just to show you where we're at with making maple syrup now, you can see the cooker is going. It's a 55-gallon drum, and we have a keg cut in half, and we put the sap inside the keg. And that is a nice rolling boil right there. You can see all the steam coming off. We're evaporating the water as quick as we can. And we have to go through 55 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup. So with that said, we need to burn a lot of wood, and we are doing that right now. This simple cooker, oh man, I made this years and years ago, probably 10 years ago. It's maybe been used for 6 times or so. And the bottom is pretty much rotted out, but it still works. Just one drum, and I had a nice door to it, which there's not much left of it, but it's still working. And as this burns, we'll just keep pushing it in. I do have a pot that I have out here, and I built this little stand. You can kind of see it. It acts as a pre-cooker, basically, or a preheater, if you will, just to warm up the chunks of ice, because you can see this is one of the buckets that was on the tree. It's a frozen block in there. So I'll dump that in there, and that'll melt and slowly warm up. I mean, even if it's 50 degrees, it's better than dumping a chunk of ice into this nice boiling pot here, because then it'll stop simmering and you'll lose your boil. Kind of lucking out today. It's about 50 degrees out here, and you need a nice day like this to really get the sap flowing. It's been super cold, and we are now into about March 8th or so, and we finally got the right weather where the temperature is going to fluctuate. At night it's going to be below freezing, and the sap will come down the trees, and during the day the sun will warm up the tree and make the sap flow up the tree, and it'll go into those buckets that we have tapped, and then all we have to do is go around, collect it, and start cooking. And boy, I tell you, you burn off a lot of wood while you're doing this, but it gets you outside, and I love it, and it's so wonderful being out here in springtime, and you know, you're out of the house and you get something really neat out of it. But we'll show you soon how to bottle all this, and what we do next is going to be quite a few hours of cooking and just letting it boil. We'll just keep adding more and more and more and more. Thank you. All right, as far as our maple syrup production goes, this is what we got for our first run. We have 2 pints and 5 half pints, so you know, about a half a gallon, not quite half a gallon of maple syrup, but for our first run it's pretty good. I mean, this is super clear, very sweet, delicious stuff. I mean, you can see a little bit of the sediment down at the bottom, and that'll stay down there and settle out. Can't go wrong with making your own maple syrup. I hope you guys all like that, and you get out, and it encourages you to make your own stuff and try farming any way you can with what you have. And please like and subscribe. Mr. Brian's Amazing World. We need more subscribers so we can keep making great videos for you, and we'll get better and better and bring more stuff to show you what we can do here. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it.